Well, hey y'all, gonna be doing another knife review. This time it is not going to be on a traditional slip joint, but it is going to be on the famous or infamous Rat 1 by Ontario. And before Ontario, it was originally designed by Randall's Adventure Training. And they make some really good knives themselves. But this one is made by Ontario Knife Company, which has gone out of business in the New York plant, but this wasn't made in New York. This one was made in Taiwan, and they are still being made in Taiwan. And like the Chinese knives and other knives that have come out, even though it's affordable, even though it's overseas produced, it is a very well-made knife. And thankfully, it's still in production. And Blue Ridge, which is a wholesaler of knives, owns the brand. And I guess these things are still being put out just like they were before. Quality hadn't changed or anything. They are just not owned by the original Ontario Knife Company in New York. And there's no chance of that place opening up because I guess it burned down. But I do have some New York, Ontario made knives, including one I got issued, a little pocket knife. And they do make some great stuff. And this overseas produced Rat 1 is great. In fact, most of you, I don't need to tell you about it. You know about this knife. Like I said, this one is older. And at the time, I think I only paid $27 for it. And this is made out of AUS 8 steel. That's AUS 8 steel. And I think now they make them out of D2. And I don't think they ever made an S30V or anything, but they make them out of D2. And that one was really popular. But I think this AUS 8 it's a great steel. How they kept the cost down, I believe, is this is an FRN, that's fiberglass reinforced nylon. That's what they make the handle out of. It comes, get it up close here, it comes textured. Not too heavily, but just enough. It really gives you a good purchase on the knife. You can break it down. It has these little star heads. I don't know what size they are offhand. The clip is 4-way adjustable. You can put it there, which is where I like it, up here, here, or here. Of course, I really couldn't tell you why. I like the way they are. I like tip up right hand pocket carry. Some people, not very many people, like tip down, but some people do. And for you lefties out there, they even look out for you for some reason. No, just kidding. I'll give you a look at the blade here. It has a real nice opening. Opens with an authoritative snap, and it locks up via the frame lock. That lock has not moved from that position or worn. And like all my knives, I have used this one and carried it. There's your Ontario logo, and there's your AUS 8. And this is the Ontario Rat 1. Pretty famous knife. There's your Taiwan, made in Taiwan label there, so they're not trying to fool anybody. But this knife does get a razor's edge, and it holds it. Once again, I've said this before, it's a mantra, but I will repeat it. It does have a good heat treat, so it does hold an edge quite well. And that AUS 8 steel, it's good steel. Once again, it's not a super steel, but it's definitely more than adequate. Most people that buy super steels, I'm going to be honest, they really don't need them. If you're good at sharpening and if you're good at maintaining, and that means having a good quality strop with some good quality stropping compound, or even just wearing a leather belt out in the field, or having access to a piece of leather, and if you don't, even your jeans, you can maintain a blade for a good long time. And that's true with this knife. This is a great little field knife, pocket knife, every single thing knife. Unlike traditionals, you can get it open pretty quick, but not as quick as, it's always in degrees. Some knives, modern folders, have washers and ball bearings, and, they'll come out of there in a millionth of a second. But this one comes out pretty fast. But it's not a race knife or anything, but it does come out. You'll see that staggered, I don't know what you call it, but the way the thumb stud is designed. It is kind of a staggered design that allows your thumb to get a really good purchase on there when you're trying to open it. You can feel it, and you can feel it grabbing. It has an adjustable pivot. You can tighten it or loosen it. There's always a trade-off. If you want the knife to come out really fast and you loosen up that pivot, then you could get a little wobble. And as it sits now, this knife has no blade movement side to side, up or down. It locks up like a bank vault. But when you start messing with those pivots, well, it's a trade-off. Like I said, you could have a little blade movement, and that bothers some people, and some people it doesn't. The pocket clip they give you, it's a good pocket clip. It works. But that being said, it's nothing to really write home about. It's not a cheap metal, but it's not real great. And instead of parkerizing it or doing something cool to keep costs down, it looks like they just paint it. And that paint comes off pretty easily. And if you're really sort of rough on your knives, I've never done it, and I've carried this knife for a few years. But I know a friend of mine that has one, and I talked him into getting it, and he bent the pocket clip on the first day. And we just got our Leatherman out and fixed it, and he was back to running. And but anyway, it's a good knife. It is not super heavy, but a little bit heavy. I'll see if you can get a look at these liners in here. They don't mill out the liners, and that would lighten it up a little bit. But the good news is it does give it strength without milling out the liners inside, which a lot of people do. You're getting a stronger knife, and you'll see it has some stainless steel standoffs right here. And this type of design, this flow-through design, it's actually pretty nice because any dirt and debris that would otherwise stay in your knife just flows right through and comes on out. And you can, blow air through it, and it'll be clean. The Sauce 8 steel is really, really rust resistant. It's not completely stainless, like any stainless is not completely stainless, but it's pretty good. It does a pretty good job. I don't have the specs in front of me, and there's a million guys that give you specs, so I'm not going to list them. But this knife, it's probably a little bit heavier than a Spyderco PM2, and it's about as long, maybe a little longer. But it's not. I mean, you carry it in your pocket, and it's fine. And there are times when you want to have a semi-tactical knife. You don't want to have a super expensive knife, but you want to have a capable knife, and this Ontario Rat 1 will do it. I mean, I don't really need to explain it because this knife has been a staple in the EDC community for years and years. And there's been a lot of other hot rod knives that have come. There's been a lot of other overseas knives that are tactical folders, like Civivi and Kaiser and a bunch of other brands, new brands that have come out. I don't keep up with them all. But, for an affordable, tactical pocket knife, this one fills the bill. It's got enough reach. It's got enough grip where, as old Nut and Fancy say, if you had to push it into a tactical roll. And tactical roll is, you dance around the subject, but basically it's if you had to use this to defend yourself and actually cut or stab somebody that was trying to harm you or your family, you could do it. Thankfully, I live in the free state of Texas, and I don't have to use a knife. We're allowed to carry guns here. I have a concealed carry permit, but you don't need one. You're allowed to carry a gun under constitutional carry. So I guess there might be some far-off scenario where you would have to take your knife out and use it. But really, that's not what they're meant for. This knife is just, you could use it for that roll. You have enough stoutness. Your finger's not going to come out with, thanks to this little finger choil here. You got some jimping on the back, not too aggressive, but not too dull. It gives you a good purchase on your thumb. Got a nice little belly, a very slight drop point. And this thing is a good slicer and cutter. It's a great utility knife, which is the main function of the knife. And like I said, I got this for 27 bucks. I don't think the price has changed a whole lot. They might be a little bit more expensive, and I think the D2 models are a slight premium. That's a really tough, hardcore steel, but still an older steel. It's not one of the newer super steels, but it is a very good steel. But so is AUS-8. I think that this steel would get you through anything you're going to need to get through. And when you're buying super steels, and if you're a knife nerd, well, like me, I mean, I have a lot of knives with super steels in them. You don't really need them if you really get down to brass tacks. You don't really need them. You don't. Most people, I would say, most people in their applications do not need a super steel. Yes, you don't have to sharpen them as much, and there are some benefits, but you don't really need it. Because this is not like a really crappy steel or anything. AUS-8 was considered a pretty high-end steel in its time. It's gotten left in the dirt by, Crew Wear and Magna Cut and all of these other, blended unicorn poop steels that have magical powers. But good old AUS-8, it'll get the job done. Anyway, this has been my review and my take on the Ontario Rat 1, a knife that really almost needs no introduction. It has been around forever. And if you're looking, for an affordable, good quality knife, this is going to do it for you for an affordable tactical folder. Now, I saw a guy did a video. He said, "Oh, that knife is irrelevant now because they got the Civivis, and there's another brand called CRJB, and there's a bunch of them. I don't even know them all. You get on Knife Center or Smoky Mountain Knife Works, and they have a bunch of them, and I'm sure they're really great. But this knife, everything just comes together. It's comfortable in your hand. It's plenty tough. It'll do everything that you need it to do. And if somehow, by just being silly and not using the knife correctly, or if you had to press it into, whatever roll you had to press it into, it's not super hard or expensive to replace. It doesn't carry too deep. You have, like with this, the way this pocket clip goes, you have about from right about here sticking up out of your pocket. I keep a lanyard that I made, a little paracord lanyard on the end, just to kind of help me yank it out of the pocket. I really prefer carrying traditional knives, and and I like carrying a Swiss champ on me somewhere, or even a small Victorinox knife, because I like to have a little screwdriver or a pry bar. That is kind of nice. I know guys that do it. I know guys that have done it with this knife, and it had a couple little minor chips, but it didn't hurt it. But they use this knife as a screwdriver, and I would never do that. But some people do. Some people have to. I don't know. But anyway, if you're ever thinking about getting one of these, you can still get them. There was fear that they would be gone when Ontario was gone, but they are not. Thank you for watching this. I don't know if some of y'all don't like these videos or do like them, but I would appreciate a thumbs up and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have one of these. I would venture to say that a lot of true knife nuts actually have one or more of these in their collection. And let me know what you think about it. Let me know how it works for you. Anyway, that's about it for now. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch y'all down the road.